Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on competency-based education. Thank you so much for joining us here today. A few things to note. Closed captioning has been enabled, so you have the option to show or hide those captions depending on your individual needs. Also, our Zoom Q&A box is open for any questions you may have throughout today's session. And a recording of this session, as well as the slide deck, the Q&A report, and all mentioned resources will be posted in the Brightspace community after we're finished today. The recording and the Brightspace community article will also be emailed to all registrants and attendees. And with that, we'll get started with our agenda for today. We'll start by sharing some background on D2L and then we'll do some quick introductions of the folks from D2L on the call today. Next, I'll talk about getting started with competency-based education and the tools within Brightspace that will enable you to implement CBE in your organization. We'll do a demonstration of those tools, and I'll show you how you can use the features within Brightspace to allow you to do CBE in your course. And then we'll have some time at the end to finish off with questions and some discussion questions as well. Some quick introductions. My name is Samantha. I'm a Senior Adoption Specialist here at D2L. And we also have my colleague Renata from the adoption team who will be supporting with our Q&A today. And before we get too far, I'd like to clarify some terms. D2L is the company and Brightspace is the product, a learning management system. And then we have our Brightspace community, which is a hub of resources where you can connect with other Brightspace users, seek out additional information on Brightspace. The link for the Brightspace community is in the chat if you are interested. And now that we know a little bit more about you, or you know a little bit more about us, we'd like to know a little bit more about you. I'm going to launch a quick poll here with just 3 short questions. First, I'm wondering, does your organization require competency-based education or CBE? Do you currently use the Mastery View in Brightspace to track student progress against standards and outcomes? And then if you are using competency-based education, do you feel that it improves student engagement in your courses? We'll give about 30 seconds or so to go through that poll, and then we'll talk about our results. All right, looks like about 3/4 of folks have answered our poll. So there's quite a spread of organizations that are currently requiring CBE. It seems to be a bit of a trend in the higher education space. About 1/4 of you are mandated, and then another 50% or so are not mandated, but it's either strongly encouraged or there is a mandate coming in the near future. And then another 25% of you are just here to learn, which is absolutely fantastic. Looks like, again, most folks are either not using Mastery or they're interested in starting using Mastery. And about 25% are currently using it, which is awesome. And then most folks are either saying yes, CBE does help student engagement, or you're not sure. So very interesting. I'd be interested to know if after we see more implementation of CBE practices, if we'll see that improve student engagement. So thank you to everyone who was able to participate in the poll today. Moving right along, we're going to talk about what is competency-based education. It seems to be a bit of a buzzword around education right now, but it's not necessarily clear what it is that means. Competency-based education is an innovative approach to learning that focuses on students mastering specific skills and knowledge at their own pace. Instead of progressing through a course based on time or traditional grading, students move through only when they've demonstrated mastery of key competencies or learning outcomes. This model of education promotes personalized learning, allowing students to learn at their own pace, ensuring that they fully grasp each concept before moving on. It's not about rushing through material, it's about ensuring mastery of skills. Most importantly, CBE focuses on real-world application, preparing students for real-life challenges by ensuring they can effectively apply what they've learned in practical situations. In short, CBE is all about mastery, personalization, and relevant practical skills. There are some different advantages and challenges to implementing CBE. Competency-based education offers several key advantages, making it a really transformative approach to learning. First, the focus on learning outcomes at the core of CBE allows students to progress only once they've mastered material, ensuring that no one's left behind. Even if they move through the content at different speeds, this ensures that students truly understand the material before advancing. CBE also allows for efficient use of resources. Since students can review content independently, less classroom time is required, and learning becomes more self-directed and efficient. This independence can be especially valuable for non-traditional students or for those with busy schedules. Also, the flexibility and accessibility of CBE are other major benefits. Learners can study whenever and wherever works best for them. This is particularly advantageous for those balancing personal, professional, and academic responsibilities. Online tools further expand access, making learning available to broader ranges of students. And finally, CBE tends to improve retention rates because students are only allowed to progress when they fully understood the material. They're less likely to become frustrated and drop out, which helps them stay engaged in their studies. Even though CBE holds great promise, there are a few challenges to consider. First, teaching is an absolute must. Educators need to shift from the traditional approach of following a set curriculum to adapting their teaching based on students' individual needs. This requires a lot of flexibility and responsiveness to your students. Preparation is also critical. Developing measurable learning objectives and assessments for CBE is a significant task, and educators often have to overhaul their course materials to create new, effective learning resources to ensure that all students have what they need to succeed. And finally, students have to adapt as well. Some may find it difficult to stay motivated or balance the demands of their personal and academic lives. There's also the social aspect to consider, as a student may not want to remain with the same cohort throughout the course if they progress at different speeds, which can impact their connection to their peers. In summary, while CBE offers substantial benefits, including personalized learning and flexibility, it also requires changing in teaching practices and thorough preparation, as it is an adjustment for both educators and students. Some strategies to consider for CBE in the classroom. When we think about teaching, most methods can be grouped into two broad approaches, teacher-centered and student-centered. In the teacher-centered approach, the teacher is the primary authority delivering information for students to absorb, and students typically work independently and focus is on the teacher. The teacher being the expert who imparts knowledge. This more traditional model, but is not always the most effective model for the learner. In contrast, a student-centered teaching approach shares the responsibility for learning between the teacher and the students. Both participate equally in the process with a strong emphasis on collaboration, communication, and active involvement from the students. In a CBE classroom, the emphasis is always on student-centered learning. Together, teachers and students create individualized learning paths to meet each student's unique needs and learning goals. To support CBE, a variety of strategies can be used, each designed to engage students and foster a deeper understanding of the material. These include project-based learning, where students apply their knowledge to real-world projects that are tailored to the interests, abilities of either individuals or groups. Problem-based learning, which encourages students to solve complex real-world problems, helping them build critical thinking and problem-solving skills. inquiry-based learning, where students explore topics or concepts that interest them, fostering curiosity and independent exploration. Collaborative learning, which emphasizes teamwork, enabling students to work together to achieve a common goal while enhancing their communication and cooperation skills. And self-directed learning, where students take control of their educational journey, choosing what to learn and how, giving them ownership over their learning experience. Each student's learning pathway will be unique as they learn differently at different paces. This means that educators will often need to use a variety of these strategies to ensure that students are supported and challenged in the right way. CBE isn't just about learning content, it's about fostering a more personalized, engaging, and practical learning experience for every student. So how are some ways that we can get started with CBE? When transitioning to competency-based education, there are some key best practices to ensure success. First, there's the need to nurture organizational alignment. And based on the poll, it seems like this has already started at a lot of your institutions, which is fantastic. It's essential that all stakeholders, from educators to administrators, understand and agree on the purpose of CBE. You should be asking questions like, why is CBE the right choice for our organization? What problems will it solve? And how does it align with your organization's mission and values? Second, you'll need to create a clear communication plan. Ongoing communication is going to be absolutely critical to the success of CBE at your organization. All stakeholders need to know why the transition is happening, what changes to expect, and who is responsible for each part of the implementation. Third, we highly recommend launching with a pilot. So start with a small group in a pilot program, which will allow you to identify and address any issues before a full-scale launch. This could be a few courses or an entire department, depending on the size of your organization. Fourth, you'll want to measure progress. It's crucial to track progress regularly with both the qualitative and quantitative metrics. These metrics should align with the goals set during the planning phase and be used to identify any issues, particularly during the pilot phase. Measuring progress ensures that you're on track to allow for timely adjustments. And finally, share your success. Celebrate your wins and document those successes is going to be key for gaining support and expanding the CBE program in your organization. In summary, to successfully implement CBE, align your organization, communicate clearly, start off small, measure progress, and share your success along the way. Next up, we'll talk about some tools that will help you implement CBE within Brightspace at your organization. First up, learning outcomes. These will help you define specific outcomes within Brightspace. They'll align to course objectives and ensure that each learning activity is assessed and mapped to clear and measurable outcomes. Then we have Mastery View. When you enable the Mastery View in Brightspace, it gives instructors and students a clear view of their outcomes across their course. It also helps instructors to identify areas where students are excelling or where they may need additional support. Rubrics can help you create clear aligned outcomes that are consistent in their assessment, and they also ensure that students understand what is expected to be demonstrated in each learning activity. For number 4, we have our portfolio tool. This is an often overlooked tool in higher education, but I like to draw folks to it often, as it is a really great tool, especially in CBE, as it allows students to showcase their work and demonstrate the mastery of specific outcomes and competencies. Students can reflect on their progress and collect evidence of their own learning journey. And finally, you can use the class progress tool to track overall student progress towards mastering outcomes, and this tool provides insights into individual and group performance, helping students who may need additional support and intervention. So with that, let's take a look at the environment. So I'm here in my Introduction to Business course, and the very first thing I want to show you is how to add learning outcomes to your course. So to do this, I'm going to have to go into my course admin tool as I don't have learning outcomes on my nav bar. Just a reminder that if you are missing a tool from your nav bar, if you go to the course admin, you're able to find any tool that is available to you within your course. So I'll go into course admin now, and I'm going to click on learning outcomes. There are a few different ways you can add learning outcomes to your course. First, you can manually add outcomes one at a time by clicking Add Outcome here. You'll be asked for a short code, which is not necessary, and then to put in the learning outcome here. I'll show you an example of what this looks like. Here you can see CS.2, Communication Skills 2. CS.2 is the short code, and then the learning outcome is conveying ideas in writing. You can also import outcomes to your course. You can do this with a CSV file from a program that's been created by your organization or from the Achievement Standards Network. We're going to take a look at the Achievement Standards Network here. First up, you'll select your jurisdiction. If your jurisdiction is not listed in this quite lengthy menu, not to worry, you can submit a request to have your organization's outcomes or standards added to the Achievement Standard Network. The link for this request form will be in the resources section of the webinar today. Once you've selected your jurisdiction, if there are multiple subjects, multiple frameworks, or multiple education levels, those will populate. Our friends at American Nurses Association only have one subject, but as you can see, if I was to select Alberta, there are many subjects for you. So if you would like to organize your outcomes that way through the Achievement Network, that can totally be done. Once you've selected your subject and your grade level, all of the available outcomes will populate below. You can have overall outcomes here, and then you can drop down into sub-level outcomes. Once you've selected the outcomes you would like to add to your course, you'll click this Import Selected Outcomes button. I'm going to skip that today as not to add any more outcomes to the course that I already have here. Once you've added outcomes to your course, it's also important to consider your achievement scale. This is the scale in which outcomes are measured. They are most often set from the org level, but from within your course, you can choose between different org set achievement scales. To do this, you'll click on the Settings button in the top right here, which will then show you all of the different achievement scales available to you. As you can see, achievement scales can be shorter, like this one here with 4 simple levels, or they can be longer and more complex, like this one here where we have, oh gosh, I think there's 14 or 16 levels here. I'm not entirely sure the exact number. You can also see that achievement scales like this one can be text-based only, or they can be tied to a grade percentage. It's totally up to you. I'm going to stick with our standard achievement scale here. Something to note, as it's typically an admin permission, we won't be getting into achievement scale creation today, but if you are an admin and are interested in how you can create achievement scales, there is a how-to guide that will be in the resources for this webinar. And to do that, you would go through the learning outcomes in your admin cog. All right, so now let's take a look at how you can add outcomes to your individual activities. Outcomes can be added to many things in Brightspace, including assignments, quiz questions, or a full quiz, grade items, portfolio artifacts, and content topics. We don't have time to go over them all in detail today, so we're going to focus on assignments and content topics. First, I'm going to go to my assignments tool through my nav bar, and you can see all of my assignments listed here. I'm going to go into this oral presentation assignment. I'm going to click on the drop-down menu here and edit the assignment. That brings up my assignment creation field, and this workflow is the exact same whether you're editing an assignment or if you're creating a new assignment. I'm going to then click on this blue Outcomes button. And if you are a Lumi customer, you'll see this suggested outcome alignment at the top, but that's okay if you don't see that, no worries. You can manually select the outcomes you would like to add to the assignment. So for this one, I'm going to select CS2, CS3, and LS4, and then I'm going to click Save. Once you are happy with your outcomes that have been added to your assignment, you'll then click Save and Close. Next, I'll show you how you can add an outcome to a content topic. To do this, I'm going to go to Content. I'm going to open up this Week 2 folder and click on my content topic here, thinking about entrepreneurship. And then again, I'm going to click on my Options button here, shown as the ellipses. And I can choose to either edit or just view outcomes if all the editing I'm doing today is adding additional outcomes. You can see once I click View Outcomes, there are no outcomes currently assigned to this topic. That's great. I'm going to click on this Edit Outcomes Alignment button. And then I'm going to add one outcome, Learning Through Research, LS2, to my content topic here, and click Save Changes. Now I can see that that learning outcome has been added to this content topic. Once you've aligned your course to various outcomes, you'll want to be able to view your student progress against those outcomes. There are a few ways to do this, but for the sake of time, we're going to focus on the mastery view of the gradebook. To find the mastery view of the gradebook, I'm going to click on Grades. And then at the very top here, I can view achievements by grades or mastery view. I'm going to toggle over to mastery view. Here you can see an overview of all the student outcomes in your course. Each outcome is listed here horizontally. You can also hover over each outcome to see a brief overview of how your students are progressing against each outcome. You can then see your students listed here vertically. If you like, you can click into each student, and there you can see how they're progressing against each outcome based on their different assignments. And you can also adjust the grade here if you would like to adjust their outcome. So you can see we have all of Faith's assignments and outcomes here. We'll click out here and go back to our mastery grade book. There we go. You can also click into each outcome for each individual student. We'll click into this one here for Faith. Here you can see all of the times the students have been evaluated against that outcome and adjust their achievement based on your own professional judgment. You can do that here where it says select overall achievement. We can see Faith has been automatically assessed at a level 4, as that is the most common achievement she's received against this outcome. But if you as the professional feel that a level 3 is more appropriate, you can select that and update. You can also add your own comments here, and you can see how she's been assessed against each outcome on each individual assignment. So we'll open up this assignment proposal where we can see that Faith was assessed to a level 4 based on these rubric criteria. And then we can go back into the overall mastery view. And since I've manually overridden her achievement, I can click Update. And we'll just refresh to show what that change looks like here. You can see that she's now evaluated against as a level 3 instead of a level 4. It looks like we do have a bit more time, so I'd like to show you how to view outcomes within the content tool. So I'll go back to content here. And you can see at the very top of my sidebar menu, you can see I have 8 of 9 outcomes aligned. This is telling me there's 9 outcomes in my course, and I have 8 of them that have been aligned to an assignment or content topic. I can click into that here. And I can see all of my outcomes on the side here vertically, and then all of my assessments across the top. So this tells me the number of times each outcome is used and on which assignments they're used on. So I can see the CS4 has not been aligned to any assessments, and also my end of course assignment doesn't have any assessments. So this can be really helpful for just quickly making sure all of your outcomes have been aligned. Another way to view outcome progress is through the class progress tool. If you click into each individual student, pick on Paulina here, you can see their learning outcomes. And it shows you just very briefly an overview of that student's progress against those outcomes. So with that, that's our learning outcomes tool. I want to just draw your attention to a few quick things before we go into our Q&A and discussion portion. So if you're not familiar, we have our D2L Champions program. Being a champion allows you the opportunity to receive points for attending webinars like the one you're with today, submitting blog posts, and even giving us reviews online. You can then redeem these points for gift cards or additional D2L services. The link to sign up for the D2L Champions program is in the chat. Put that there right now. We also have our higher education faculty community group. We really encourage folks to join this group so they can connect with others at different institutions who are using Brightspace. You can ask questions, post in discussions, or find new ways to use the platform. The link to join the higher ed faculty group is also in the chat. Finally, we have some upcoming webinars in our series, with next month being assignments and discussions in Brightspace. Really looking forward to this session. In our last round of series, we had just assessments in Brightspace, where we had assignments, discussions, and quizzes all grouped together. But this time around, we've decided to break out assignments and discussions and give quizzes their own session. So we should be able to really dive into the intricacies of assignments and discussions and have a really great session. If you're interested in joining any of our future sessions, the link for that is also in the chat for you all. And that brings us to our discussion questions for today. First, what challenges have you faced with CBE and Brightspace, and what have you done to address them? What Brightspace tools are you currently using for CBE, or what Brightspace tools would you like to start using for CBE? And what was something that you learned today? So I'll leave that up. And if folks would like to come off mute, please raise your hand, or you can type questions in the Q&A or in the chat. And then I'm going to take a look at our Q&A and see if there's any questions that I can answer for folks. I do see that someone has their hand raised, and that I think that's been up for quite a while. Oh, maybe not. So just looking at the Q&A, someone has said, this makes me think about the famous quote by philosopher Immanuel Kant, thoughts without content are empty, instructions without concepts are blind. For philosophical discussions, we should go to the link, or should we go to the link you shared in the chat? So great comment. And yes, we can discuss today as well, but the conversation will be continued in the higher ed faculty group. Yes, so the link to the higher ed faculty community group would be a great place to continue that more philosophical discussion. Thank you so much for sharing. Someone else asks, how did the D2L select the jurisdictions currently listed in the Achievement Standards Network? So those can be customized. A lot of the ones that are simply the state is for that state's public school K-12 achievements if they've been published. But within the Achievement Standard Network, we can create custom ones like we did for American Nurses Association or Savannah Chatham Public Schools. So if you're interested in having your organization's standards listed in the Achievement Standard Network, the link to do so is, I'll put that in the chat, but it'll also be in the Q&A report. Let's see here. Someone had two questions. If the training was being recorded, and then they're not sure if they have the tools in their Brightspace to align outcomes to activities. So yes, today's training session is recorded. The recorded video will be emailed out to everyone, and it will also be in the community posted if you were not able to attend live. And then if you don't have access to some of the tools shown today, it could be a permissions issue. I would recommend reaching out to your Brightspace admin, as these are all tools that are available in our Brightspace core package or our most basic package. So Hugh asks a question, can the ASN include higher education standards? As far as I know, there is nothing stopping higher education standards from being added. It's just been primarily K-12 who has adopted the Achievement Standards Network. But yeah, as far as I know, there's no blocker to that. And then Hugh, I see you asked a question about LEAP. Twice now, Renata's typing out a question or an answer for you because I am honestly not entirely sure. So we'll get that answered for you. Did anyone want to come off mute and share some of your experience using Brightspace for CBE, or perhaps you have an answer for one of our discussion questions? Okay, I'll take a look at some more of these Q&A questions then. Someone has asked how assessments are excluded from informing the assignment grade independently from the assignment requirements when using a grading rubric. I'm not entirely sure what you mean there. Um, Perhaps you could come off mute and go into a bit more detail. And then the second part of your question was, how can faculty view the body of an assessment rubric when determining what level a student has achieved? So are you talking about like an assessment, like to view the entire assessment and not just the rubric? To do that, you could go in through the assignments tool to evaluate the assignment. Again, I'm not entirely clear on the specifics of your question.
Oh, yes, we'll need to unmute you to allow you to ask your question.
Who was that, Renata, looking to come off?
It was just it's just set as anonymous attendee, the question about
Oh,
the that you just
about the assessments? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. If you don't mind no longer being anonymous, if you want to raise your hand, we can bring you off mute. There we go. Charlene. Hi, Charlene. You should be able to talk with us now.
Hi there. So the question is how assessments are excluded from informing the grade independently from the assignment requirements. So can it be used? So can you, because we have specific instructions for a particular assignment, let's say.
Right.
And if the student meets those requirements of that particular assignment, then they are graded independently of the assessment
I,
of that assignment.
right. So let me just make sure I'm perfectly clear. This student will receive a numerical grade based on their completion of the assessment. And then in addition to that, they will receive um, an assessment on their achievement of competencies or outcomes. And you do not want the achievement on outcomes to impact the numerical grade and vice versa. Is that
Correct.
okay? I think, and Renata, I know that this is something that often comes up in the K-12 space, but I think that if you were to use an achievement scale that did not have the numerical value, that would solve that issue. So I'll go back to show the achievement scales here. I'll go here to my settings. And I know we just went really briefly over the achievement scales, but you see this first one, growing success, how it has the levels assigned to a percentage. What I think you would do is have something more like this basic scale, where it's just a more like a written assignment, whether that's like this one, novice, advanced, etc. Um, that way it wouldn't be associated with the grade.
Okay, so and then thresholds cannot be set on those either. Is that correct?
Right, so it would be more so on your professional judgment than done automatically. But you do have the ability to do a manual override of um, the outcome assessment. And if you do a manual override, that would not impact the student grade. So when I was in master review and I was editing the students' achievement, I can go back to that as well. So in my master review, we'll go in here to Faith. So if I do this manual override here, that will not impact any of their numerical grades for the assignments that they had been assessed against. If I go into this financing business, for example. So there's all the directions. We don't need that. They have their rubric. It doesn't look like I can change the rubric from here, so that's good. I'm not able to change the rubric level from here. I can see how they were assessed with the outcomes, but that can't be changed unless I was to edit their assignment. So I think that should solve your problem, just having the non-numerical achievement scale.
Okay, so non-numerical achievement scale,
Mhm.
if you doesn't require a manual override.
Correct.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't be tied to a grade percentage. So when you're assessing the assignment, let's go in here. I'll show what that looks like since we have time. So when I'm assessing the assignment, obviously I have my file submission here. I have the different rubrics. These rubrics will impact your grade. But then here I have the outcomes. And actually, it looks like even with these outcomes that are tied to a percentage, you can see I have my overall grade here. If I change Faith's achievement on the different outcomes, it doesn't change that overall grade, just the rubric does.
Okay, and then how can faculty from this view see the body of the rubric as far as the context for each level?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you've added a rubric to your assignment, if you click on this little arrow, it'll open up the entire rubric. So it'll show you each criteria. You can then click to assess one click. So if it's a 1 out of 4, and you can change the direction this goes when you're editing your rubric.
Okay, but this is showing the far left side of the criteria. What about the body of the rubric itself?
So do you mean like each accessible item on the rubric?
No, so typically you have let's say oral communication as the criteria.
Mm-hmm. So,
Um, each level has its own definition of what that level means.
right. That is right here underneath in this small. So they've just sort of
Oh, I
taken
see.
the rubric and
Gotcha.
where you would have like a chart with the criteria on the far left and then your
Hmm.
4 levels across, they've made it so you have to click through each level to
Gotcha.
see
Gotcha.
what that is.
Okay. Thank you.
Um, no problem. Did you have any more questions there, Charlene?
No, I think that covers it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Just to add to that too, you can also make the rubric full screen when you're going to
Ah,
assess it. So that might be helpful too if they want, yeah, just on that little arrow click out there on the right.
great call it,
Yeah,
Renata.
that
So
might be easier if they want to see um, it in a little bit more detail
yes, so
and
then,
select them from there.
and it's still the 1 click marking. Something else I wanted to call out while we are taking a look at rubrics is you can align outcomes to rubric criteria. And the way you'll know if an outcome has been aligned to rubric criteria is you'll have this little target icon. So when you hover over that, you can see which outcomes are aligned to that criteria as well. All right. Any more questions about any of the tools we've talked about or anything else related to competency-based education? I see Hugh has asked if Mastery View is part of core features. And yes, it is. So there's no additional cost to using Mastery View. It just needs to be turned on by your organization. Um, So it is completely free, well, not free, but it's included within Brightspace Core, our base package. All right. Well, as it seems that our Q&A has quieted down a little bit, we do have a survey. If folks are interested in sharing their thoughts on this session, we greatly appreciate your feedback. There's a QR code on the screen, or there's also the link in the chat. We'd really love your feedback. Your feedback helps make these sessions better each time we offer them, so the more we hear from you, the better. And Renata and I will stay on the line for the duration of our time if there are any more questions. But if not, feel free to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And thank you so much for joining us here today.
I just see a couple of extra questions I can help with just orally here. So Shannon, where are you accessing the course learning outcomes from? So within your course, you will go to, if you don't have the learning outcomes tool, or maybe it's called the standards tool in your organization, you can find it by going to the course admin where you can see all of your tools, and then you'll see that tool there. So whether it's called learning outcomes or standards, you will be able to find the tool there to be able to import standards either from a program that's been created at the organizational level, or create your own standards at the course level. And then another question here, are the rubrics then created at the same time as the outcomes? No, so the outcomes need to be brought into the course first, and then during the rubric creation process, you'll be able to see that the option to add those outcomes at the rubric criterion level. So if you already have a rubric in your course, you can, after you add outcomes to your course, you'll see that option when you go back and edit the rubric to be able to add them in. So hopefully that answers your question, Charlene. And I just see another question here in the chat. Given that the programs and achievement scales cannot be changed at the organizational level, once created, is the option to modify them going to be added in the future? So with the achievement scales, once they're created and they've been assessed against, they will not be able to be changed for data integrity purposes. And then the programs, if those have been brought in and also been used to assess against, those cannot be changed either. Is there going to be the option to modify them? That's a good question. And a good one to check our product idea exchange for to see if that's been something. We typically do recommend right now just to be mindful at the organizational level, if you're a Brightspace administrator, when you are creating those scales, to just be mindful of keeping them limited and ensuring that they're accurate before allowing instructors to go and assess against those, just to avoid having sort of inaccuracy there. But certainly something to check the product idea exchange for. But other than that, not much additional information to share on that front.